I'm excited because the name Teleport reminds me of my favorite X-Men, which is Nightcrawler, because I wish I could just travel around and teleport and have like sushi in Japan for lunch and then be back in Paris for coffee and then be back in the US for dinner or something like that. Anyway, enough of the silliness. I'm super excited to introduce y'all to Xin Ding. He is the VP of Product over at Teleport. And of course, I'll be joining him for Q&A as well. So keep your questions coming in throughout the presentation. And with that, Xin, are you ready to rock?
Yep, ready. Thanks for the intro.
My pleasure. Take it away.
All right, well, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us today. As mentioned, my name is Xin. I'm the VP product here at Teleport. I'll be spending the next 20 or so minutes talking a little bit about Teleport. But let's start with why we exist. And I'll go to the slide.
Got it there?
Yep. It's just going a little slow. All right. So at Teleport, our mission is pretty simple, but it's very ambitious. It's to make computing trustworthy. So we do this by trying to modernize access, identity, and security for infrastructure. So whether it's for humans like developers or non-humans like services or AI agents, Teleport strives to simplify and secure access for all. So why does this actually matter? Well, there are two main outcomes we're aiming to deliver for our customers. So first, we want to improve the velocity of engineering teams. We try to do this by streamlining access and simplifying workflows. So by doing so, we help teams move faster, reduce time to market, and ultimately, in today's competitive landscape, every minute saved in building and deploying products can make a huge difference. So we try to make things easy for developers so they can speed that up. Second, we enhance the resilience of critical systems. So infrastructure today is more complex than ever, and I'll talk about all the ways and all the reasons why that is true today. And because of the complexity, oftentimes we can create more mistakes, especially humans can have more mistakes in complex environments. So our product here protects against human error, misconfigurations, security breaches. So by doing so, we give you peace of mind, knowing that your systems are secure and resilient to these failures and to these mistakes. And in general, you see some social proof on the right here, but our track record speaks for itself. We have over 500 customers, ranging from industry leaders like Nasdaq, Adobe, Tesla, Snowflake, to innovative tech companies like GitLab, Discord, and Epic Games. These organizations all rely on us to secure their most critical infrastructure, and we try to empower their teams to do their best work. Ultimately, at its core, Teleport is built to solve the challenges of modern infrastructure, which I'll talk about the challenges of in the next slide. It's secure by design, simple to implement, and built to scale with your business. So let's actually dive in. So next slide here. I'll talk a little bit about let's take a step back and talk a little bit about the reality of modern software infrastructure and the challenges that engineering teams face today. So first, the infrastructure access is no longer limited to a single environment. As you all know, engineering teams manage a sprawling ecosystem of various systems, right? We have on-prem, we have cloud, we have multiple various clouds. You can be on AWS, GCP, Azure, other clouds. We have different CI pipelines, and there's different CI tools for that in the stack. We have different Kubernetes clusters and more. So each of these environments come with its own access protocol and tools, right? You might use something for AWS, something for Kubernetes, something else for your GitHub Actions, etc. And this essentially creates silos and efficiencies that slow down development and deployment processes. So adding to that complexity is the shift to distributed work models, right? Over the last couple of years, due to various reasons, many teams are fully remote or at the minimum like hybrid, right? And the collaboration now extends across different geographical regions, time zones, and third parties. So this makes managing access very difficult, and it actually adds additional burden on compliance and regulatory demands, which ultimately require more management and more and tighter controls. So on top of that, security threats are growing. Namely, identity compromises and security breaches related to identities are on the rise. And ultimately, like bad actors are, using social attacks and other attacks that are related to identities to exploit these gaps, and escalating privileges to try to access your infrastructure. And when systems aren't secure, even very small mistakes, like an expired certificate, unrevoked credentials, unrotated secret, can lead to devastating consequences because of that. Because attacker might get something like that and pivot to something that has, bigger consequences. Lastly, the risks go beyond breaches, right? Compliance failure, not even breaches, but compliance failures and failed audits are very costly, both financially and reputationally. It might actually delay your launch, or it might turn away some customers that you were hoping to acquire. For growing organizations, ultimately, staying ahead of audits require a level of consistency and control that becomes very difficult to maintain as infrastructure scales, as your team becomes more distributed, and as more threats are looming, especially on the identity side. As at Teleport, we see these challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities, because we believe there's a better way to manage access that doesn't sacrifice speed, security, or simplicity. Over the next couple of slides, I'll talk a little bit more about our unified approach to all of this stuff. So next slide. Now that we've outlined the challenges of modern infrastructure, let's explore how Teleport actually addresses them through our what we call our Teleport Access platform. So our platform is built on these three foundational pillars. At the bottom, you see the big one there at the foundation is Teleport Access. And at the top left, we have Teleport Identity. On top right, we have Teleport Policy. Together, these pillars provide a unified solution to simplify, secure, and streamline access management of infrastructure. So the first pillar here is Teleport Access at the bottom, which ensures on-demand, least privilege access to infrastructure. This is built on a foundation of cryptographic identity and zero trust principles. That's a lot of words, right? A lot of buzzwords as well. So what does that mean in practice? Well, it means that every access session, so every time you connect to an infrastructure resource, right, whether it's from a user, a machine, a workload, an AI agent, etc., that session is authenticated, it's authorized, it's logged without reliance on static credentials like passwords or keys. There's an audit trail and everything that has to do with that. So this eliminates a huge attack surface and ephemeral privileges here in the form of what we use here is short-lived credentials. They grant access for exactly the time and scope that you need. So with Teleport Access, and that's what we mean by zero trust and minimizing attack surface. With Teleport Access, you can enforce principles of least privilege effortlessly and at scale. So next, on the top left, we have Teleport Identity, which actually focuses on hardening your infrastructure by hardening your identities. So it provides tools for example here, access monitoring, access requests, access reviews, along with identity locking and advanced, as I mentioned, identity hardening, such as per-session MFA, moderated sessions, and device trust. Just to give you one example, with device trust, with Teleport Identity, you can ensure that only verified and registered devices and users can interact with your system. So this pillar, again, is about establishing a secure foundation where every identity, whether it's human or machine, is authenticated and tightly controlled. And finally, we have Teleport Policy, the third pillar here, which unifies and simplifies access across your entire infrastructure. This pillar is designed to help mitigate, detect, and respond to identity breaches. So for example, it allows you to discover and block shadow access, and I'll show you what that looks like in a demo. And what I mean by shadow access is unapproved or hidden access points, such as like SSH backdoors. And it ensures a rapid response to any detected threats. So by centralizing control, you essentially reduce complexity and try to ensure consistent policies across your on-prem, your self-hosted, your cloud, and your hybrid environments. And together, really the true power of this entire platform, what we call the Teleport Access platform, lies in how these three pillars work together, right? Teleport Access gives you seamless connectivity without compromising security. Identity hardens your foundations against threats, and Teleport Policy ensures comprehensive control and visibility. With this platform, you're not just solving today's challenges, you're also building a resilient and scalable infrastructure for the future. And next, we'll do a bit of a deep dive into how this platform, right, translates into real world benefits for teams like yourself. And here we have a case study, and this is a public case study that you can find on our website, with Carta. So Carta is a company that manages very sensitive customer data. They serve a lot of startups of various different sizes in helping to manage, cap table, helping to manage stock options, and other financial services. So obviously they require really strict controls because of the sensitive nature of their data, and they try to do all of that to ensure not only the security side, but also they have a ton of compliance standards that they have to accommodate to. So like many modern organizations, Carta kind of faces these three problems. First, right, they need transparent access and auditing controls to safeguard their very sensitive customer data. It's not just security here, it's also necessary for them to run the business, necessary for them to hit compliance, but also necessary for them to address trust concerns from potential users. Second, scaling up their efforts here around compliance is very difficult, especially as the organization grow. And Carta is a company that grew very quickly. And third, they want to streamline workflows for the engineering teams, especially around infrastructure, onboarding, and offboarding, which can be very difficult to control and obviously has very sensitive consequences if you don't offboard, engineering, or if you don't onboard them in a timely manner. It can really slow down how quickly you can ship and your velocity in shipping code. So ultimately, these processes were very time consuming and also prone to human error because they can be very manual, which impacts both security and, as I mentioned, developer velocity. And Teleport provided a solution that directly addressed these challenges. Carta, by implementing role-based access policies with fine-grained auditing for Kubernetes clusters and databases, enabled their teams to monitor and control access at a granular level while meeting compliance requirements. By integrating with Okta, they were able to, by integrating Okta with Teleport, they were able to establish efficient onboarding and offboarding with dynamic role-based access because they can pass those roles and the onboarding and offboarding to Teleport, which manages the infrastructure access. This has ultimately streamlined access provisioning and significantly reduced their manual overhead when it came to onboarding and offboarding engineers, as mentioned. Lastly, they deployed a declarative Kubernetes native installations, which enhanced the maintainability and reliability of the infrastructure. So the result here is that Teleport allowed Carta to enhance security posture while also improving operational efficiency. So developers could focus on their work without being bogged down by cumbersome access policies. And they can, by adopting Teleport, they were able to reduce maintenance overhead, making it easier for them to scale, both securely and in a compliant manner when it comes to, various sensitive customer data infrastructure. So one of the standouts, really, in conclusion, when it comes to Carta, is how the Teleport Access Platform really brought together compliance, security, and developer velocity. With Teleport, they didn't really have to compromise one for the other. They could move faster, move more secure, and hit their compliance needs. So essentially, they were able to accomplish all three simultaneously. This is just one example. We have a ton of study cases, and as a couple of slides ago, you saw we have a ton of customers that trust Teleport to do this for them. Last slide before the demo. To wrap up, we basically try to bring it all together and hit home the core benefits of the Teleport Access Platform. At its heart, Teleport drives two key outcomes, as mentioned: improved velocity and enhanced resilience. So these benefits are deeply interconnected because they address both operational and security needs of modern infrastructure, which has its unique and growing challenges. On the improving velocity side, we help teams move faster by eliminating bottlenecks that slow down engineering workflows. So for example, we eliminate access silos, we ensure seamless connectivity across systems, whether it's self-hosted, whether it's cloud, whether it's hybrid. We streamline access requests and we automate onboarding and offboarding of infrastructure access. Therefore, we significantly reduce time spent on these administrative and potentially manual and time-consuming tasks. And then we enable engineering teams to scale infrastructure operations more effectively by doing all of this. So this, what ultimately it means is that your developers spend less time wrestling with infrastructure, less time wrestling with access issues, and more times focusing on building and shipping your product. On the second side, we have improved resilience. It's really important here because speed is by itself great, but it doesn't work if it compromises safety, right? If it compromises security. Like, you can imagine the fastest thing you can do for access is just give everyone root access. That sounds great in terms of velocity because no one will have to wrestle with access concerns, but obviously it compromises security in a big way. And Teleport transforms this kind of a model with a modern, and fairly streamlined, zero trust principle. So a couple of things here. We eliminate static credentials like password and keys and secrets, and we replace them with secure ephemeral authentication. We try to enforce here principle of least privilege by providing infrastructure defense. We help organizations minimize their attack surface. And we also ensure that multi-cloud access control, that you can enforce the same consistent security policies across all of your environments. Ultimately, Teleport helps you identify, helps you mitigate risk as well, so that you can, again, improve resilience. So, where velocity and resilient meet is where engineering and security meet. This is what makes Teleport unique is that we bridge the gap between engineering and security. So often these goals are very at odds with each other because developers want speed while security teams want control and security, obviously. And Teleport tries to align these priorities by making secure access easy and scalable, so you don't have to choose. With all of that said, I'd like to dive into a quick demo, and then I'm happy to take questions at the end here. So I will try to share my screen. Everyone see my screen? Is that coming through?
Yep, looking good. I've got like teleport and then resources.
Yep, that's correct. All right, so I'll just walk through a quick demo here. There's going to be a lot. So, if you have any questions, please drop it in chat. So here I have my account here, log into Teleport. And this is kind of the first screen that you see when you land on Teleport, because what makes Teleport powerful is this ability to enroll a bunch of infrastructure resources and to do a bunch of stuff on top of that. So here we see all the resources I have access to. I can connect to anything here. So for example, I know there's a Snowflake instance that we've set up that I want to connect to, and we can just do this. Infrastructure access has already been procured, so you can kind of look at this, and we're in. So that's how easy it is once access has been properly procured. And then a couple of things to look at. We have access requests, as mentioned. We have a bunch of different sort of controls over your identity. We have trusted devices, as mentioned. So this makes it so that only certain devices that are registered can access certain resources. We have obviously like MFA, per session MFA, MFA for administrative actions. So if I try to change a user's role, it prompts me to tap my MFA device and things like that. And then on the policy side, this is an example. We can look at the Graph Explorer. Let's look at what we were just looking at, what we were just logging into, which is a Snowflake instance, right? We can see using this tool to explore, okay, so what are all the identities that have access to the Snowflake instance, and how does it have access? So you can see here, we have, this is my account over here. Try to zoom in. And there's multiple access paths. There's a reviewer path. There's a Teleport admin path that basically ultimately gives me access role, which ultimately gives me access to the Snowflake resource. Whereas, for example, a different role, and I'll show you in a bit, we have Ryan, who doesn't actually have, a access role. It has a temporary granted certificate, which it got through this requester role that you see down here. and that's how it's able to get access to Snowflake. It doesn't have a role. It has a role that allows it to request a short-lived access request credential, and through that, it's able to access the Snowflake instance. So I'll kind of show you what that looks like in practice, right? So if we go back to our resources page, again, here you'll see if I type in Snowflake, there's a connection button. I can select the identity I want to use to log in. But alternatively, if we log into Ryan's account, so this is Ryan's account here. Here, if I go to Snowflake, I'm not able to actually access, but I am able to request access. So I can actually request access to this particular resource, submit this request, go back here to my administrative account here in the light theme, take a look at this request, approve it, and then tap MFA. And then on this side, I'm able to see that a access request was granted here, and I'm able to assume that role. And if I go back to resources, I see that now I can actually connect to this Snowflake resource with a bunch of different logins, and you'll see exact same sort of experience. But the difference obviously here is there's no long-lived credentials or resources for Ryan. Ryan's account had to request and get that request approved in order to access the particular infrastructure. So there's no standing privileges here for Ryan. And we can see all of that again through the Graph Explorer. If you just look at something like this, and you can do this with all resources, all identities. So it kind of comes together again, where security, where velocity meets resilience. Okay, that's all I had in terms of content. Happy to open it up for any questions now.
Alrighty, for sure. Yeah, we have quite a few questions, so let's see how many we can get through together here. We manage a mix of cloud, on-prem, and hybrid environments. How does Teleport handle access across all of these?
Yeah, so pretty straightforward. We have integrations. I should have showed this in the demo, but we have integrations with various different cloud providers, as well as you can enroll self-hosted resources, and it'll all show up in the same resources page. Essentially, in the back end, we connect to a bunch of different integrations and a bunch of different ways to enroll resources, and they'll all show up in the same place for you on the front end.
Okay, perfect. And yeah, I know you did kind of a short and sweet demo, but I'm sure you could have shown so much more. But there's only so much time in each day. But I think great to kind of see it in action there, and I'm sure people can reach out and get a bit more of a customized guided tour if they're looking for that too. Okay, next question. Does Teleport provide real-time visibility into who accessed specific resources?
Yeah, so exactly what I showed is an access graph that we have. We construct that out of existing current access patterns, like who has access to what. We also have, I also should have showed this, but didn't have enough time. We also have auto logs as well as session recordings. And we also even have a view that shows existing active sessions. So these are all different ways that you can look at who has access to what, and also not only currently who has access to what, but also in the past who had access to what.
Okay, excellent. I did get the right poll up there for everyone out there in the audience. So if you are looking at your slide deck, you can now answer that poll and respond with what you're looking for from Teleport in terms of follow-ups. But let's keep these good questions coming in. So next one is, can Teleport perform advanced PAM functions like dual authorization or session termination?
Yeah, that's built in. It's one of the critical things for a lot of compliance, and obviously when you're responding to breaches, yeah, absolutely. Yes to both of those.
Okay, excellent. What else we got in the queue here? Next one is, someone's asking about the licensing model for Teleport. Are you the right person to shed some light on that?
Yeah, I can shed some light on like how we do it in terms of pricing. I'm not the right person to talk about. If you're interested in getting a quote, please reach out to our sales team. In terms of how we license, essentially we offer both self-hosted solution as well as our cloud solution. And for cloud, if you want to start a trial, you can just go to goteleport.com, top right, where you can start a trial. But in terms of how it works, we essentially charge by usage. So if you use Teleport more, you have more users, more resources, then usually it will be like the pricing corresponds to that.
Gotcha. Perfect. And then, I mean, I have a similar question here. Someone's asking, how scalable is Teleport for organizations of different sizes? Maybe we
Yeah, I
can.
mean, you saw some of those. Some of our customers are, thousands and tens of thousands of developers at a minimum. So I'm not sure what you mean by scalable. Is it in terms of like resources? Is it in terms of users? But in general, we've seen some quite large use cases, as I kind of mentioned some of our customers there. We haven't run into any problems with scaling Teleport for these Fortune 10 companies.
All right. And are there any, is there a too small kind of thing, or is that does that not?
No, especially for cloud. We have customers with as few as 10 to 30 developers. So especially for if you're on the smaller side, I definitely think the SaaS product, our cloud solution, our managed solution is probably the right one for you rather than self-hosted. Because there is a lot of overhead in managing any sort of self-hosted product. So I would recommend, if you're on the smaller side, to check out our cloud offering, where there's no real minimum on that side.
Okay, great. Okay, got a question here from Scott. Scott's asking, we also have systems with no internet. Actually, wait, hold on. I think this is a follow-up. So first question he asked was, we still do a lot of CLI work with SSH. Can Teleport support zero trust with common Linux SSH clients and servers? Yeah. And then
For sure. I just showed the UI because it's kind of easy and resonates with the bigger crowd, but we actually started off with pretty much our CLI experience. So you can actually look. It's called TSH, and it integrates natively. So you don't actually have to deploy Teleport for this to work. You just have to do some configuration changes on your OpenSSH servers. But as an example, like you can enroll OpenSSH servers into Teleport and access those through a TSH client that we provide. It's just a client tool that you can download.
Okay, nice. Let's see. Maybe we have time for one or two more quick questions. All right, I'm going to pitch you this one. Does AWS's maintenance patching impact Teleport's functions and in turn clients or users?
AWS maintenance patching. So like we actually depends on how you deploy Teleport. I'm not sure if I'm not answering the question correctly, we can do a follow up. But we deploy on multiple AWS regions. So especially for something like our cloud, we offer 99.9% uptime, and actually we offer, I believe, 4 nines with our multi-region deployment, which has automatic failover to other regions. To my knowledge, there hasn't been any sort of AWS maintenance that has affected, that has caused downtime across multiple regions. So I believe that should be relatively straightforward and supported for us.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, I say let's wrap there. This has been really great. There's a couple more questions, but I don't think we can get to them all today, so I'll let you guys follow up after there. Jody said that answers their questions, so that
Awesome.
was perfect. Great. Brandon also mentioned, wow, so many platforms use Teleport, never knew you guys were behind them. So kudos. And with that, I always love to give any speakers or presenters kind of a final sign off. So is there anything you want to share in terms of how people should follow up, or just anything you want to share that's kind of really awesome and going on with Teleport at this time?
Yeah, we actually have just released, we're doing like a whole push for Teleport 17. So you might see some of that stuff coming your way. But otherwise we have a bunch of releases throughout the year. If it sounds like a cool thing to you or your use case or your company, please come check us out. Always happy to chat. Thank you guys.
Awesome. Thank you. Take good care, and we'll see you around soon.